Absolutely. Let's talk about something that is not nearly as chuckle-worthy, because I got to tell you, it is a threat to me, to you, to our children, to grandchildren.
Well, let me go specifically to what I was doing yesterday, and of course, I'm sure you're covering stories about Iran and Israel and Egypt right now. But I would guess you have not done a story yet on the Istanbul process.
I have not.
All right. Yesterday I was moderating, I should say, a forum up on Capitol Hill that included Dr. Zuhdi Jasser and some other prominent commentators and pundits about this process. But the Istanbul process is something that has been generated by the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, which is that group of 57 countries within the UN, all Muslim countries, that have really since 1992 tried to convince the United Nations that all human rights policy should be Sharia compliant, which of course would mean women have half the rights of men and child marriages are okay. They have failed up until this administration, when this particular Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton, said, well, maybe we can find some kind of compromise between what the OIC wants to do and what our Constitution says, so we can put a lid on hate speech. But essentially what the OIC is trying to do is criminalize any criticism of Islam, even if it's true. So, for example, if we speak out against the persecution of the Coptic Christians in Egypt, that would be considered so offensive to Muslims that it should not be permitted. Now, as I say, the United States has assiduously resisted this for a couple of decades. But recently, Hillary Clinton said this: together we have to overcome the false divide that pits religious sensitivities against freedom of expression, and we are pursuing a new approach based on concrete steps to use some old-fashioned techniques of peer pressure and shaming so that people don't feel they have the support to do what we abhor. Now, Jeff, the term false divide jumps out at me because that is essentially the First Amendment.
That's right.
If you criticize Islam, you are exercising your freedom of speech.
Right.
If you're drawing a cartoon, as Molly Norris did, or if you are producing a movie, as Zuhdi Jasser did, called The Third Jihad, which is now being taken to task and may cost Police Commissioner in New York, Ray Kelly, his job.
Right.
These are all things that have been absolutely untouchable under the First Amendment, and now they're all up for grabs. And, of course, this is already happening in Europe with people going to jail for criticizing Islam. But what Hillary Clinton is doing is opening the door for the same process. And the Istanbul process was a meeting in December where Hillary Clinton literally sat down and said to countries like Turkey and Saudi Arabia, we can learn from you about human rights and free speech. It's astonishing, and most people don't know it.
No, most people don't know it, Fred, and it's again one of these serious threats. We talk about it on a regular basis. We'll talk about it more, I know. That is former Congressman Fred Grandy. Now, Fred is with us every Wednesday right there at 7:05. Sometimes we are graced by the presence of his lovely bride, Mrs. Fred, but she's taken a couple of weeks off, I think, to deal with the outcome of certain elections. That's okay. Fred Grandy certainly knows of what he speaks. We're always happy to have him here.